Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We've got some exciting changes to show you and highlight for 2021. All right, so please visit our website, gathesbians.org, for exciting information about our upcoming conference. You'll notice that we've updated the layout and design of the website. That was intentional to force us away from the information related to a physical conference and start shifting over to a virtual conference and that language. On the website, you'll see the new event pages. So there'll be links here for LeadCon information and then information here related to the virtual ThesCon. So if you navigate there, there's all the information you need to know about pre-conference, conference registration. We're including a new registration guide. So it's one-stop shop for everything related to registration and how to create your own website user account. The information about fees, and scroll down a little bit lower and you'll see information related to all the events that are happenings at the virtual conference. Each one of these, I'm not done updating this page, this will continually get updated, but each one of these is a link that takes you to more information related to that event. So you can read a little bit more about the event itself, see the deadline for registration, the fee costs, who can participate, the event contact, and then a link over to your application. Also at the top, you'll see content geared towards specific audience members. So for troop directors, you have content listed here. This is stuff that'll continually evolve as more questions or more content is created. We'll put it here if it's geared towards troop director. But most importantly here is dates. So here's all of our registration and event dates. There's some information down here for being a troop director and how to get information from EDTA and stuff external from us as well related to like literary and one act. Let me go over to our registration site. So up here at the top, there's this link here, it says register, and that will take you over to this site. So we have a new look and feel for the registration website, the registration portal. I have put all of your links, all of your event links, all your registration, all in one place this year. And so you don't have to navigate around the website to get to different places. It's all going to be listed right here. So if you want to register for conference, you click here. You want to register for improv, you click here and you'll be taken to that individual form. I don't have a link here for the conference agreement form, but I'll get that added there. Let me go back here. But on the ThesCon page, here's a link to the conference agreement form. If you click that, you'll be taken to the form and you'll be taken to the instructions for the form and how to fill a form out. A little bit different this year, we took out information that's not required. There's information that is still required by our insurance provider, but there's information that we've taken off of the form that we don't think we're going to need this year. All that pesky information about first and secondary primary contact, emergency contact, you'll see that that's not on the form. I'm going to turn it over to Frank Pruitt to answer, to give a little bit more information about the conference agreement form and about some of the required fields and some of the process for filling that out.
Well, actually, Eric, you kind of covered most of the things I was going to talk about. The good thing is we've taken out the information we don't need, so that should make it a little bit easier for everyone to complete. The conference agreement form is still required. Our insurance providers ask us to collect this information. The main purpose of the conference agreement form, especially this year, is some of the statements on the form as far as joining a virtual platform and abiding by a code of conduct and the right to be videotaped, photographed, those kind of things. So all the forms are signed by the parents of all your students. Even if they're 18 years or older, they still are attending with your school, and our insurance company requires a parent signature. And if you're a teacher or an adult chaperone, then you can sign your own. Um, we don't require a student signature. It's just one student, one signature. Um, we are, we do have to collect them. In the past, you've mailed them to us, and that's still an option. We also are giving you options to um, send them to us attached to an email this year, if that works for you better. And also, if you'd like to load them to a cloud, what's it called, Eric? A cloud what?
Yeah, a cloud account or cloud drive, and just email us
A
the link.
cloud, yeah, right. You can send us the link, and we can accept it that way too. Um, And I think that's it about the agreement form, Eric.
Are there any questions about the agreement form?
There was a question, does it have to be a physical signature?
We've been going around on how to do the signatures, and we recognize that there's going to be some challenges. There are ways for users to put a digital signature on a PDF. So we do allow that. There is software, and there's capabilities in Windows and on Macs and on iPads for you to actually sign with your finger on the form itself. So we will accept those signatures. We will not accept you to go in on a typewriter and use a curly font that kind of mimics a signature. But if you're actually putting your finger, creating a signature digitally and putting that on the form, scanning that, printing that out, and submitting that, we do accept that.
And we're going to be sharing with you some resources about how to create an electronic signature from different platforms, if you're on a Mac or if you're using Windows. So we have about 5 resources that walk you through how to do that. We'll be sharing that so parents can see it and you can see it as well.
And
Yeah.
there were a couple of additional resources that were just mentioned in the chat that we can add to that list.
Okay.
There's one of the first questions was, will non-thespians be allowed to attend the virtual conference?
Yes.
Yes.
This year, non-thespians can attend as long as they attend with a school that has a troop for the high school. The middle school has always allowed schools with troops and schools without troops to attend. So that'll be the same for middle school. But for high school, you have to have a troop to attend, but you can bring students who are not inducted thespians this year. We are not collecting the ID number on the registration form this year. So that'll save teachers a little bit of time. Um, you, you do have to be an inducted thespian to participate in the events like IEs, Improv, Tech Challenge. And so the ID number will be collected on those individual registrations.
And there was another question, what process is best for getting forms to students and then back to us?
Yeah, we recognize that that's going to be a challenge, and we figured out a way for this to all happen digitally. So it is possible for you to communicate to your students, go to this link, fill out the form. That's going to create an email for the student. They'll be able to download the form from that email. They can electronically sign that form, save a copy of that form, and email it back to the teacher. That can all happen remotely, and it can all happen without a printer too. So if there are some students that don't have printers in their houses, that's all possible just through internet connection. Then it is the responsibility of the troop director to collect digitally or in paper, however that they need to do that. It is the responsibility of the troop director to collect all of those forms from the attendees, and then they'll submit that packet. Either they can print them out or they can upload them to a drive and then share that link to us, and then we'll go through the forms and collect them that way.
There was a request to make sure that we include Chrome extensions or Chrome possibilities for the signature for those who are using Chromebooks in their schools.
Yeah, that's really on the user to do that. I don't have to enable that, so that's up to the user to do that.
Next question, can you add how to do the digital signature correctly directly on the form so the parents will see it there when they go to sign in? So I guess anything to help the parents understand how to do it.
Yeah, I can't put it on the form, but I will include language on the website. We'll include a helpful tip on the website how to do that. So teachers, you'll share the form with them, and then if they need to figure out if they need additional help with the signature piece, there'll be that secondary resource that they can refer to.
If a thespian member cannot attend conference due to a conflict, can they still participate in some of the video events that will be submitted prior to the conference?
If I can jump in on that real quick, that and the question before, which from Keith, those, as long as they register to attend the conference, they have to be attending the conference. Now, if they can't show up for an event or some aspect that is pre-recorded, that's fine. But if they are participating like in IEs, then they have to be an attendee. If they're participating in a group activity, they have to be an attendee. That's a little different if you're bringing a show, if we use a show of yours. But anything that is that you would do that is more of on the competition side, that you would normally have to be there, then you still have to be an attendee. That aspect would still be true. We do allow, in the past, we've allowed people who are doing a show, if they had a few people who weren't at the conference but were in the show, they could come in, perform, and leave. But that would be the only scenario. And as far as the schedule, we're still working on the schedule, but right now our thought is we were under the impression that it would be difficult for a lot of people to get out of class, even virtual class. And so we're looking at doing things Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday so that you wouldn't have to miss an actual class. You could do it after school. And a lot of the things that we are talking about doing that would be live would happen after school hours. I hope that answers those two questions.
And there was a question about still being able to print and scan, and Frank answered it in the chat. But just so everyone knows, yes, you still have the option to print and scan the forms and submit them. Are there any other questions about registration? All right.
I'll go into the information real quickly about the conference registration process. So we just covered the agreement form. So here's the registration process. So again, you'll navigate to our registration site. There's my summary. There's a link here for conference registration, and that will allow you to submit your application. And it's the same as it was before. It collects information related to your high school, your troop number, your mobile phone, your secondary phone. These are really just so we can contact you if we have any questions about your phone, about your packet. And so it's got some required fields. Next. So you'll notice here, we're not asking for the thespian ID number. We're only asking for just the first and last name. And we're also not asking for t-shirt sizes. The conference t-shirt is not included with the registration this year. We are going to be opening up a new Georgia Thespian store, and a conference t-shirt will be available for purchase through our online store. So you want to add all your attendees. So I'll just do the one for right now. Next. And review, make sure it's all correct. All the event forms offer PayPal, payment through a credit card, and also offline payment if you need to mail us a school check, booster club check. No personal checks for any of our events. That's no change no change in that. everything, you must be a money order, school check, booster club check, certified checks. We do require principal signature for this and your signature on the form. And we feel like you can do that through the same process. So it's, print it out, put a digital signature on. You can email that or get with your principal and they can sign it physically, or you can email it to the principal and they can do the digital signature, just like we have a digital signature on the agreement form. So we don't feel like that will be a roadblock for anybody.
There was a question about a cap on the registration. I just want to make sure we get this on the recording, that there is no cap on registration numbers.
Correct. Yeah, there's no cap on the registration number. A troop can bring as many attendees as they want. The registration form does have a limit on the number of people you can put on a single form. And that form this year is 70 people. 70 attendees can be on the form. There's a constraint on the amount of data that can be saved in the back end for a troop. And so if you bring in more than 70, just contact me, webmaster@ga8thespians.org, and we'll get you a second registration form created, and you'll be able to put the remaining attendees on that second form.
And if there's not a cap, is there less rush to get registered Sunday on the October 4th early?
That's a great observation. And that's something that Frank and I are worried about, because we do not want you to all submit your registrations December 10th, the day before the deadline. Please don't do that to us.
The rush for registration in the past has been proceeding in the bill heard for the opening and closing events. So that rush doesn't exist this year. We do have registration phases after the December deadline. You can still register your troop, but the fee per individual goes up. And so we have like a registration, we have a late registration, we have a later registration, and then we have a latest registration. You'll see this on the website. And so we need to know by that December deadline approximately how many people to plan for, because we have to make sure we have enough workshops for everybody, and that we've provided with our virtual platform all the information they need to know. But we still want you to attend even if you miss that December deadline if you'd like to. And so you could still register a school after that. It's just it's more per student. And so that's a little change from years past. But if you all wait till the last minute, then it just takes longer for us to confirm and let you know that your registration's been accepted.
Well, and the other thing, if I may add, Frank and Eric, is if we wait to the last minute, y'all, and then there's a mistake or an issue, you may miss that deadline of, if they can't get back to you in time because 200 troops have tried to turn it in on the last day, that means they may not be able to get back to you in time for you to fix something that passed the late registration. So then in order to make changes or to accept those, it may cost you more. So our suggestion is, you don't have to do it on the very first day, but if you could do it that week or the next week, it would really help out. They could get back to you if there's an issue with enough time. And they've always done that. They've always tried to reach out and help you in time. The problem is when you send it the day before, and then you've done something wrong on the registration, and then expect more time because of that. But really, it falls back on you since it was given so late. So please go ahead and get it done as soon as possible. You can add more people. There are things that you can do, but that would sure help them out, and it would help us out, and it would help our platform out so that we know how to. It may cost us more money to do other things, and so we need time to know how many people to expect.
And we'll still have a change request form, so you're able to submit your registration if you need to add attendees later. We have guidelines for you to do that.
I was going to answer a question that I think some of the middle school teachers that are virtually teaching asked about, could it be during the day versus the evening? And I answered, no, we've already planned that. But understand that those workshops are going to be, you can like access them after. So I'm not sure if there's a way for you to plan to do it like during the day, the next day, if that makes sense. Also, Gina, you asked a question about like having 70 people and how would we do that with our schools. One of the things I was considering was to have my students still be in a group and have different places, like, so we might have 5 different workshops going on in my space, and we do it as a group because it's a little more fun and we have masks, you know, whatever. But so we're still doing it like as a group at my school, but we're accessing all of those workshops online.
All right.
I have a question about that. Sorry.
I'll go right.
Sorry, I didn't, and my camera's off. I have a question about that. If they're doing it in a group in a workshop, which is what we were thinking about doing too, but I saw in the little Texas preview that there's like points for attending workshops and points for, so it seemed to be more like a one-to-one device situation for being able to register for points and show that you're participating. So I was wondering how those two models might work together.
Well, we are anticipating that if you have let's say 6 of your people or your troop of 10 are going to meet together to watch, we're assuming that all 10 of those are going to be attendees. You shouldn't think of paying for one attendee and then having 50 people participate. We can't afford that, to be quite honest with you.
Paul, I don't think that's what she was saying. Like if all my kids are going to register, but I'll have one of them log into a TV on one of our active boards in my classroom, and then they would all participate in that workshop together. They'll still all be registered, but one of them will be signed in one room. Another one will be logged into another room. That way, multiple of them are still in a group participating versus them just sitting on a Chromebook together in the same room individually. So it's not that we're not going to register them. I think the question was, is there a way where if only one of them is logged in onto their account for that specific day and they're showcasing the workshop to everybody, is there a way we can, now correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know who just asked that question, if there's a way that they could still get points as that group?
Yeah, well, that's what thank you, Natalie. That's what I was trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say, is that we expect each person to be individualized. So if you're watching as a group, which is fine, you can participate. But the idea of going in and clicking on those icons for things, that's an individual aspect. That's like if your student goes and participates in different workshops or in different activities, they'll go through and be able to see that. But that's a one-to-one. There won't be a way to click and say, I need credit for 7 people or these people. So that will still be one at a time, one person. Yes, as long as they're paying attendees, it's okay if you want to watch a show or a workshop together in a large venue. But to participate in the prizes or those kind of things, it would just be that one-to-one correspondence is what we'll need. Okay.
There was a recommendation that if they all log on as separate users on different Chromebooks or different devices and only one share the sound,
Yes.
that way they can all be as a group and still have the individual access.
It's a great idea.
There are a couple other questions that came through. Do we need chaperones?
No,
I don't think you do.
Really, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric and Frank. Y'all answer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
School
think you do. Yeah, that's a school that, you know, however you think you need to handle that, follow those recommendations.
And CC had made the recommendation for everyone that they do need to register for conference before they register for any of the other events. So go ahead and do that early so you can have that done and out of the way.
Yeah, a requirement for all the other events is that you have to be a registered attendee. And so there's an acceptance process on the other side for those events. If you're not if you're not registered for conference, then you don't get accepted on the other side.
Someone had a question. Do you have a plan to stop Zoom bombing? And yes, we will have chapter board representatives in each one of the sessions to monitor the chat and monitor the whole session.
Yeah, I don't think that will be a big challenge because most of the conference platform is not going to be on Zoom.
My school is not allowing me to collect money. Is there a way to send a link for them to pay individually?
You'll have to handle that on your side. You can do that through Venmo. There are other digital payment services that are out there. From a registration standpoint, we look at the troop director as the coordinator for the troop. We accept the payment from the troop, and we accept the agreement forms from the troop director, not from the individuals.
And Paul responded to this in the chat. We are recording this session, so all the questions that you hear and the answers will be in this recorded session that will be available to view. And we're also adding the questions. I'm collecting all the questions right now and add them to a FAQ section on the website.
Right.
If anyone is interested in helping monitor those workshops, feel free to private message me.
Will there be multiple shows at one time?
That depends on how many shows we get screened and how many people are willing to do the work it's going to take to be screening, which is a great lead into our next piece. But that's something that we still don't know yet for sure.
All right. Are there any other questions about registration? We need to really jump on to our next presenters, and we will have, hold on. How long after ThesCon ends on Saturday will recordings of shows and workshops be available?
Still working on that with the company. Part of that deals with how long of our contract is and how much we're doing. If you are interested in that, y'all can let me know, and I may give me a chance to set up maybe a survey with a lot of these questions and get more feedback from y'all. But we know it's going to be for at least a week or so, and it may be longer depending. We have to pay extra for that if we want it to last for another month or 2 months. We have a time frame on our contract, and most of that we've put on the front end to make sure we can get everything set up right. But we'll look at that. Thank you, Bob.
And Tyler had just a comment that Fulton County is not allowing them to use Zoom with students for any reason. So not sure if they'll be allowed to attend because of that.
Well, again, Zoom is just one aspect of what we're going to use. There's going to be lots of other things that will be videoed, things that will be shared in that format. In many cases, there's ways to get student permission to do that. And to go through the parent, you may check with your school districts to see if you can get exceptions for this specific event, and ways around that, not necessarily in a classroom, but in something like this. So that may fall back on y'all.
All right, let's go ahead and jump to Miro Gomez and Sarah Lindahl to talk about show screening.
Welcome, thespians. We're your show screening committee. I'm Miro Gomez.
And I'm Sarah Lindahl.
And we are excited about our new virtual format to showcase your schools and your students' performances this year. We would first like to thank you all of you who have screened shows for Georgia Thespians in the past, especially with the growing number of entries in recent years. We could not have the performance experience we do without the help and volunteer work of our troop directors. So please know how much we appreciate you all. And I would also like to personally thank the members of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee for all of your insight and suggestions for strengthening our organization. We are just getting started with this committee, and this will be an ongoing process. And we are looking forward to resuming our discussions in the near future and incorporating the ideologies of diversity, equity, and inclusion in our performances at Georgia Thespian Conference. Thank you.
All right, and now in order to be consistent with this year's virtual theme, all of the shows will be submitted and adjudicated electronically. And as our usual format, each school can submit one pre-recorded hour-long performance for possible selection. And before you apply or tell the kids, hey, we're doing this, make sure you clear it with your rights company. And yes, we will, once the shows have been selected, we will get the, make sure that you've got the royalties and video licensing before we put it up on the platform. So important dates to remember. Our super deadline is when the application and the fee needs to be in, which is December 11th. And we have a feeling many of you will probably be having your 1-act stream, maybe not. Again, you've got your options. But because of that, we're having the video submission deadline as January 17th. And then on February 8th, we will put out the announcement of who's selected. And we still have the $100 fee for high schools. And it's $50 for middle schools, and Natalie passes in charge of all the junior show screening.
Due to the virtual format of the International Thespian Festival, we will not be participating in the Chapter Select program this year, so we will not be accepting applications for this year. So we will update you on the status of that for the following year.
There are a couple of questions that have come through. Our company only allows us to stream it through Broadway on Demand. Will that be a problem?
It won't be a problem. I know that each of the licensing companies, has their own specifications. And so we just need to follow what each of those specific companies does require. It's just so specific. So if that's the only way that we are able to do that, then yes, we will. That's the only way that you will be allowed to stream at conference.
Do the performances have to be published shows? Can they be original or reviews showcases?
They can be original shows, yes. Again, with the reviews, just make sure where you're taking, if you're taking scenes or songs from a particular show, you still are going to probably need to check with like MTI or any of the other licensing holders, because I know they have different stipulations. I know, for example, MTI will only let you, I think, take 3 songs max, and they have a fee for each one of those. And I know that at least with MTI, you can't make like a review, around keeping that show theme. So really, again, if it's a production company that owns the show rights, check with them first, and then you have BMI and ASCAP and all those. So to go through.
There was a question about, is it just one wide shot? And I think it may have gotten answered.
That it could be edited, it just needs to be, a clean edit, good video quality, of course, as it will be broadcast, and, an hour long per the specifications for a usual year.
And does it have to be a recording of a stage performance, or can it be a Zoom show? And Nick said that either one is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Do we have any other questions about show screening?
Please email us if you do think about anything else. Of course, we'll be available. And of course, the application will open, I believe, at the beginning of October 4th. Yes. Thank you all.